Here we go. Annalee is my name. Hey, thanks for coming along today, guys. As usual, we are in for a wonderful webinar with the PT Council of New Zealand. Now, I'm talking on behalf of Active Management, and we are very proud to sponsor these webinars. So let me just tell you a little bit about what Active Management does before we get started. Oh, I pressed the button. Hold on one second. Here we go. We're on. All right. Hey, Active Management provides services for fitness businesses. And the most exciting news at the moment is that we are now live with what we call the Fitness Business Podcast, which is geared at fitness business owners and managers. In our first 4 shows, we hear from Justin Tamsett, who's actually the owner and director of Active Management. So Justin Tamsett, we hear from Brent Darden, who's one of the finest fitness business consultants in the US, and also Nadia Norman is in the first 4 shows. And she was the Network PT of the Year last year. And lots more people with lots of expertise relevant to your fitness business. And if that's not exciting enough, as of next week, these podcasts will actually be released weekly. So you can get your fix of fitness business expertise every single week. And it comes to you, which is even better. So we'd love you to subscribe to the podcasts. You can do that by going to iTunes and just searching for the Fitness Business Podcast. Couldn't be simpler. Now, we're also super excited to let you know that we're running the most unique PT business training program in Australia and New Zealand. It's ideal for both PT business owners and PT managers because we'll cover things like consumer trends, how to build the ideal customer. You'll get 3 hours with the sales guru, Steve Jensen. If you don't know who he is, he's unbelievably talented and very clever in terms of sales. The fitness industry's social media expert all the way from Canada will also be involved, Amanda Vogel, that is. You'll build 2 Facebook ads, you'll learn how to make your website more engaging, and we've got a really special surprise that you won't know about unless you're there. So you can find out more details or pre-register by emailing Chantel, and her address is on the screen there. All right, now, enough from me. I'm going to press another little button here. And just before we get started, for those of you who are new to the webinars or who need reminding, a bit like me, if you have a question for today's presenter, all you need to do is type your question in to the questions section on that GoToWebinar control panel that's on your screen. I'll then pass those questions on to Aaron verbally, and he'll answer them for everyone to hear. So, without further delay, let me hand you over to Jean Scott from the PT Council of New Zealand to officially introduce you to today's speaker. Over to you, Jean.
Thank you, Annalee. Aaron McLoughlin is the president of the New Zealand Association of NLP. He's also the author of 3 books, Rapid Inspired Change, Hypnotherapy, and Motivational Coaching. You can either do this by Skype or in Christchurch face-to-face. With workshops and seminars. It gives the PT Council great pleasure to introduce Aaron and sleep and peak performance. Thank you, Aaron.
Oh, we've got a little bit of a technical hitch there with Jean. But Aaron, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. We're all good.
Great.
We just need to see your screen and you're ready to go.
I need that message to share my screen.
Yep.
Here we go. Show my screen. There it is.
That's the one.
Now let's just press the appropriate buttons.
There we go.
Voila! I can sleep easy tonight knowing that I got it to work.
Over to you, Aaron. Thanks for that.
Well, my name's Aaron McLoughlin. Thank you, Jean and Annalise. It is a real pleasure to be here. First webinar, so bear with me. Today we're talking about peak performance and sleep, which are kind of interesting things because peak performance seems to be the absolute opposite of the thing called sleep. However, it fascinates me simply because sleep is something that I really love to do. I'm actually going to skip that one and go to here. I love sleep and I love to wake up feeling rejuvenated. And I just very quickly, during 8 years of toxic poisoning, I had months of insomnia. And I resolved this in a night. And this is what I teach others to do. They don't necessarily do it in a night. It can often take a little bit longer. Sleep and getting to sleep is fascinating, as is the research into sleep. And the amazing thing about the research into sleep is that most research is what's happening when we're asleep or not asleep. But very little research tells us actually how we get ourselves to sleep. And what I've noticed over the last, well, since 1996 when I started doing this work, but also specifically in the last 5 to 6 years when studying sleep and working with clients, is that it's actually a lot to do with our beliefs, our thinking, and our feelings that actually either help us get to sleep or stop us getting to sleep. So sleep rocks, and it's profoundly important. The research into the side effects is huge around lack of sleep, and obviously the positive stuff around getting sleep. So why peak performance? If I'm going too fast, just send me a message and someone will tell me to slow down. Peak performance and sleep, well, the way I like to look at it is, what is peak performance first? It's, for me, it's always been an attitude of curiosity. When I was 19, I completed a black belt in karate, and the whole thing about turning up 6 days a week for anywhere from 2 to 3 hours was I was just so fascinated by it, and that curiosity it opens the mind to possibility, and it really is leading to a natural capacity to make sense of our world in any context and to make adjustments in order to prosper, or in the case to perform well or to do well or to feel great. And so the way I like to start with peak performance or any work that I'm doing is opening up the gateway of curiosity, really kind of asking yourself, what is interesting here? What is meaningful here? And that gives us a really beautiful opening, gateway, path, whatever metaphor you'd like to use, into taking the next steps. Yeah, so that's what. Now, when we're having, when Stanford did some research with their basketball teams, you can read this here, but the fundamental thing is, and there's so much research into what happens when we get more sleep, is accuracy increases, our mental coherence increases. So our ability to actually concentrate for longer increases. There's a really amazing piece of research that's come out in the last year or so that if you get consecutively only 6 hours of sleep a night, consecutively for 3 weeks, the way they kind of termed it was you're literally technically drunk to the amount of having around 10 milligrams of alcohol. That's pure alcohol. So what they're saying is, like, when we have less than a certain amount, and remember, all research is based on generally university students, actually, in the US, sometimes always aren't at their best, or who are desperate for credits to get their papers. But fundamentally, we've got to be careful with research. However, the research is generally telling us that when we have too little sleep, we actually aren't able to keep up. We are not able to keep physically fit, we're not able to keep mentally fit, and we're much less able to make good decisions, to make decisions quickly. And the more research that's coming out recently around the connection to diabetes, to certain kinds of cancer, what they're actually finding is that your immune system becomes more and more vulnerable. It's weakened through a lack of sleep. It's really fascinating stuff. It's just fascinating. So, peak performance. Now, I'm just going to get straight into this because you only have to do a little bit of research on the internet, and you Google this and that, and you'll find out what the downside of not having enough sleep is. The thing I remember, I was doing landscaping many years ago, and there's a young chap, and he was doing weight training, and he was doing a specific process where he'd train for 2 days and then rest for 1. And the basic upshot of it was, and I learned this through karate, was that you're not building muscle while you're running or while you're doing your weights or doing karate. You're actually building the muscle while you're sleeping. Now, the interesting thing on a mental level is that when you are sleeping, your brain is doing this most amazing thing. Well, actually, all the neurons in your body, not just your brain, are doing this amazing thing. They are opening up. So when we sleep, the neurons, which are the bits and pieces that talk to each other, which make everything work, they're kind of little electrical charges, basically, they relax and create more space between themselves. Now, when that happens, it's literally like, as one researcher said, it's like a washing machine sort of effect occurs in the brain and body. So when we sleep, our brain and body basically wash themselves. Now, how many of you have noticed that when you wake up in the morning after a long sleep or a deep sleep, you just feel kind of cleansed? You feel more energized, more awake, more fresh. And that is simply because, as the research is telling us, is that we are literally being cleaned. Now, one of the major problems with our modern life is everything is going 24/7. And what you'll find is that the people who are having the most problem with their health are the people who are doing things that require them to work shifts. So say, night shifts or unusual shifts of the day and night. What you'll find is those unusual shifts are actually interrupting this cleansing process in the brain and body, which leads to, or can lead to, not all the time, but can lead to all sort of disruptions to the mind-body circuitry. It can lead to depression, anxiety, diabetes has even been connected to shift work and just not getting enough sleep. So here's some tips. That's why this page is open, by the way. How many people notice that when they're lying in bed, this is the key. You see, years ago when I wasn't sleeping, I had toxic poisoning. It was keeping me up all night. And one night, after many months of not sleeping properly, I was lying there just fretting. It was like every ounce of me was desperate for sleep, but my mind was just raging. My body was uncomfortable. And there may be, sometimes after intense exercise, we can hurt a bit. Our mind can be racing, and subsequently it's very difficult to get to sleep. So what we do is we lie in bed and we go, oh, when am I going to get to sleep? When am I going to get to sleep? When is this going to happen? And what we spend our time talking about is this thing that is actually unconscious to us. We don't have a conscious experience of this thing we're trying to get to. So it's a really bad outcome. So if I'm lying in bed going, I've got to get to sleep, it doesn't work because I won't know when I'm there. And that might sound crazy. And yet at the same time, there's a part of you going, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So instead of thinking sleep, which you can't get to, not even science knows how we get there, but the one thing we do know, and we can prove this to ourselves often when we have a little arvo nap, a little afternoon nap, is that we can often slip into a deep sleep for 5, 10, 20 minutes. So what we lie down to do is rest. And this is the key. This is the key that actually got me to sleep and fixed the insomnia that I was experiencing almost immediately. And I never looked back after that. It was what we call in NLP, that's neuro-linguistic programming, it's what we call a reframe. So instead of using the word sleep, I've got to go to bed because I've got to get sleep, we say, well, I'm going to go to bed so I can rest. And I'm going to rest really deeply and just notice what happens. And that's it. Because the thing about rest is that you're conscious of it. So think about what you want from a good sleep. So the outcome really is not sleep. The outcome is how do you want to feel the next day? So think about that. So you're lying in bed and you've got a picture of yourself 15 minutes, 20 minutes after waking up, because usually the first 5 to 10 minutes is a bit grotty. Clean your teeth, stuff like that. So 15 to 20 minutes later, there I am. I can picture myself and I've got my clothes on, or I'm making breakfast and I'm feeling great. That's a motivational picture. That's an outcome from resting. And then just lie in bed and rest. Rest is what you're conscious of. Sleep is not an outcome. It's not what we'd call in NLP a well-formed outcome. So when we get into bed, we want to rest. This is the job. rest, rest. And what I like to say is rest is sleep's gentle invitation. So it's literally like rest is inviting sleep. No one knows how it happens. It's a most exquisite process. And there are many levels, 4 levels you might go through. But fundamentally, you're not conscious of it when you get there. So forget it. Get into bed to rest. And that'll take away a lot of the stress. A lot of the stress. I hope it's useful. Now, the second thing I notice with clients is when we wake up in the morning, we go, oh man, you know, seriously. I mean, I've got an 11-year-old daughter at the moment, and she's, well, actually not at the moment. She's, you know, she's 11 years old. But at the moment, she's having this problem with, you know, night terrors or whatever it is, nightmares, and she's freaking herself out at night with the dark. You know, I'm scared of the dark. So she ends up coming into our room. We put a stretcher out, she lies on the stretcher, and it's like, seriously, it's like listening to a cat in a plastic bag all night, rustling around. Anyway, so we have had disrupted sleeps for the last week or two. And when I say disrupted, woken up once or twice to help her out, and then, you know, she's rustling and blah, blah, blah. We wake up in the morning, and there's 2 choices, one of 2 choices that we can make. One is, oh man, and this is the way we mostly go down the track of, oh man, you know, seriously, I woke up twice and she was rustling all night, and that just means I just didn't get enough sleep. Put your hands up if you had that experience. You know, I got home late and it was like, oh, seriously, got woken up, there's a dog barking and blah, blah, blah. And so that means, and what we do is we do what's called a this means that. So this has happened, and so that means my day is going to be exhausting, or I won't be able to focus, blah, blah, blah. Well, just recently, some research came out of the States. It was backed up by, I think it was Stanford did it. What they recognized, they had 2 teams of people. One team was doing exercise. The other team was doing exactly the same exercises. One team was told they were doing extremely well. They were getting their bloods taken, blood pressure, all this sort of stuff. And the other team was told they were doing really badly. And their bloods were taken, everything. So, as you can imagine, the team that was told that things were going really well, their bloods, their blood pressure, their different kind of signals, ECGs, all that sort of stuff that you can measure, were saying, yeah, these guys are doing really great. The guys on the other team who are doing, remember, they're doing exactly the same exercises, eating exactly the same stuff, they were going down the hill. What they realized was that what we think about what we think we've just done, or what has just happened, is actually influencing the level of energy that we have, the level of motivation that we have, and what our body does. And it was actually the Russians who worked this out. They realized that certain words, and this is a real stretch, but I don't know how they worked it out. When we use certain words, our DNA responds differently. So when we wake up in the morning, the bottom line is, you're up. Move on. Whatever happened during the night is what happened. It is what it is. Don't judge it. The sleep you think you had is probably not the sleep you had. You did rest pretty much the entire night. But what is probably burning you up or making things less clear for you is that you're judging it. You're feeling things about it. You're making it mean something that it may not. So it's a really, really important thing. If you can just remove the judgment, go, well, yeah, I woke up twice. Okay, what do I want to do today? How do I want to feel? And then picture that happening out during your day. See yourself achieving or having achieved 2 or 3 goals that you've set yourself. And see yourself at the end of the day, double thumbs up, smiling. Yep, great day. It's a really good tip. Time. This saved my life. When I was doing the toxic poisoning thing, which went on for 8 years before I actually knew what it was, I was literally beside myself with discomfort and insomnia and all these different crazy things. And I was actually went to see an Ayurvedic doctor, which is ancient Hindu, which has been around for about 5,000 years, which is quite a long time, really. So I, listened to them, and she said one thing, just get to bed by 10. And I said, why? Well, from 10 to 2, there's a special period, and this is AM or PM. There's a special period, and you can look it up. It's called Pitta, which is the fire. You know how a lot of people say, oh, you know, I'm a bit of a night owl, and oh yeah, I kind of, you know, like to work into the night, and or you hear people, oh, listen, I got to the nightclub about 11 and I just started waking up. It was wicked, you know, danced all night, got home, crashed. Well, the thing is not so much that people are night owls, it's that they've actually come into a period of time where a digestive organic fire starts to wake up in the digestive system, which is designed to awaken while we're asleep and to awaken to move the toxins out of our body, to digest, to cleanse, to rebuild, to replenish, that sort of stuff. So if you can imagine, if you light a fire and something, everything starts to wake up. So what happens is if we're awake at that time, 10:30, 11:30, while that energy is starting to rise in our gut area and our physiology, then obviously the mental capacity, the mental energy is going to rise with it. It just makes sense. So the key is get to bed by 10. It's kind of interesting. If we start to rest at 10, put our head on the pillow, and here's a little dialogue. You know, here I am lying in bed, resting. It feels so nice. The pillow's nice. You know, really acknowledge the moment. One thing about a lot of people who are having trouble with sleep is they're not in the moment. They're fretting about tomorrow. They're worrying about what was. They're anxious about this, worrying about that. And they're also kind of having really loud and uncomfortable internal dialogues with themselves. Doesn't help. So when we lie in bed, notice, and really notice, that you are resting. Notice also that the pillow feels nice, the sheets feel nice. Make sure it's a dark room. Make sure there's no media in the room. Get rid of your phone, get rid of your TV. Never have technology in a room. The research is fully clear that any technology in the room. The thing, I can't remember the actual statistics, but insomnia went up hugely with the iPad. Don't quote me on that, please, anybody, but it's out there. I can't remember if it was, once again, Stanford or Harvard, but they said, you know, the research was back. It was a medical research that they couldn't believe, since these things that project light were able to be taken to bed and you could read books in bed. The pineal gland gets activated by light. That's the gland right in the middle of the brain, as you know. That one is your day-night kind of moderator. It just started waking up, pumping the body's full of wakeful drugs, serotonin, that sort of stuff, and the people have trouble getting to sleep. So get to sleep by 10. Cut your media out half an hour before, especially if you're having trouble with sleep. Get your head on the pillow by 10 and rest. Rest, rest, rest. Get sleep. You got the outcome. You know what that is. You want to feel good the next day. That's what we call a good, well-formed outcome. Hope that's helpful. Now, this is really important too. One thing that kept my nostrils above water level when I was feeling really crook and wasn't sleeping was meditating. I learned transcendental meditation when I was 24, and just in the last 6 years I've learned Vipassana, which is just a lovely kind of mindfulness technique. Mindfulness is the word of pretty much 2014-15. They're teaching it in Google. They've even got nap pods, which I think, yeah, napping. So nap pods are a big thing. Isn't that a beautiful pod? So nap pods are a big thing. Actually, the Institute of Sport in Australia used them a good, probably 10 years ago. They were actually using some of the techniques from transcendental meditation on the quiet. They're even getting a number of their athletes to do their training between 6 and 10 a.m. and p.m. Simply because of certain research into that time of the day, which was backed up actually in sales research with IBM, where your sales will be much better if you do your cold calling between 8 and 10 in the morning. It's fascinating stuff. It's all to do with vibrations. Fundamentally, closing your eyes for just 10 to 20 minutes once or twice a day can reduce stress. It's an absolute fact. There's a great story of Winston Churchill. He used to only sleep maybe 5 hours a night, but every day he'd get his kit off in his office, close the door, get into bed and have a sleep. He'd have a nana nap in the afternoon. And that's how he was able to get through. A lot of people do this. Einstein did it. A lot of IBM is teaching the people. Mark Waldman at, I think it's Massachusetts University, is doing a huge amount of research into mindfulness. So if we use mindfulness, basically means close your eyes and become aware of your body. the easiest thing to become aware of is your breath. So you sit down, close your eyes, become aware of your breath. And when you get distracted, which you will, just notice the distraction and then come back to your breath. Simple as that. What they've noticed is when you do that, and it doesn't matter if you're a Buddhist monk or a guy off the street, when you do that, your brain coherence increases across the board. You feel calmer, your body will be full of less stress, less tense, and what that means is that when you get into bed at night, you are carrying less stress, less tension, which means your mind will race less, and you'll be able to rest deeper and fall asleep. So napping, if you can use a machine, I think there's a couple of nap apps. I don't like apps. The thing about an app is that one day it might not be there. And so you haven't learned necessarily how to do the thing yourself. Relying on an app, not a good idea. I'd learn to do it myself. That way you can be anywhere, anytime. You can close your eyes, use a little technique, and boom shanka, you're away in the napping world. It's the same with meditation. Yes, dogs do it too. If you haven't seen a dog do it, it's great. They do it really well. They don't sit like that though. Mindfulness, as I've just said, being present, there's McLoughlin, being present in the moment. It increases enjoyment, but it also helps you to increase your coherence. And certainly, when you're working on your body, training, it is really important to be mindful of what's going on in your body. And peak performance is so much about that. Being mindful, being aware, self-aware, and aware of your the context, so you can make adjustments constantly. Learn to relax. Listen, hypnosis, a lot of junk out there on hypnosis. Hypnosis is nothing more or less than closing your eyes, going inside with your breath, and visualizing something. Hypnosis, if you're working with a hypnotist or hypnotherapist, is that person who's trained is directing that process. Creative visualization, same thing. Yoga, fabulous. And yet, a walk on the beach. A walk on the beach. And be mindful of the sand beneath your feet. Be mindful of the sounds. Once again, bring your awareness to what's actually happening. When you know that you've drifted off, because you will, notice that, acknowledge it, and come back and relax. One last thought, listen. The key with peak performance, and I learned this with karate because I wasn't listening, and I wasn't listening to my body, and I was doing a certain kick called Yoko-geri, and it's the stupidest kick. It should actually be, it should be illegal because it makes your knees do something that they're just not designed to do. And so subsequently wasn't listening, and for a very long time have had significant problems with the knees. Listen to your body. Listen to your body when you're in bed. Acknowledge the symptoms of rest. Now, one last thing, thoughts, because I haven't mentioned thoughts, and thoughts I want to mention very quickly. They are your friend. If you're lying in bed and your thoughts are racing, it's actually a sign that your body is doing what it's designed to do when you're resting. It's releasing stress and tension. It's a beautiful experience. The thing is that what we do is we think about the thoughts, and then we think about the thinking about the thoughts, and it goes on. Think of it this way. Thoughts are like bubbles rising in a glass of champagne. They come out of nowhere. They move all the way through your body as electrical energy, and then suddenly you're aware of the bubble on the top of the surface of the glass. That is the thought. And then moments later, it pops. You don't chase the bubble. It's gone. So as soon as you notice the thought, any effect that it might have had is gone. And yet what do? We chase it. And we get caught up in it. And then we get angry at ourselves. So here's what you do. Notice that thought. And as soon as you notice it, realize it's a sign that your body is resting and releasing stress. If there's a repetitive thought that's actually really important, write it down. The rest of it is junk. It's stress releasing. When you notice that thought, acknowledge it. There's a thought. And that's the important word, and here I am resting. pillow feels nice. The sheets feel nice. And in the back of your mind, you've got this image of yourself, a really good outcome, which is how you're going to feel tomorrow. Listen to your body. It's your friend. So that was my talk. My name is Aaron McLoughlin. You can go to my website, bettersleepsooner.co.nz. I do have a few videos on there. You can also buy my book, which is of the same name, Better Sleep Sooner. You can actually also get that at lulu.com, which is an instant publishing book thingy. So you can go there and just put Better Sleep Sooner in, and you can buy it and download it immediately. If you have any questions, my phone number and my email are there, and I'd love to answer any questions that you have.
Aaron, thank you very much. Oh, I've got a question that's just come through.
Great.
This one is from Justin. And Justin says, hi, Aaron, do you teach NL?
NL?
NLP, there it is.
NLP.
Yep.
No, I'm not a trainer. With my training, I am able to teach the rudimentaries, but I can't, well, I can train, but I cannot certificate. So I train people to do NLP. Often that's what sessions are about. And yet if someone wants certification, they need to go to the nza.nlp.org.nz, and there are 5 or 6 trainers that are listed there.
Awesome. Stephanie says, thank you. Really helpful information.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie.
Justin also said, who do you recommend? But I think you just answered that in terms of NLP.
Yeah, being the president, I'm not allowed to recommend anybody. I'll be throttled.
I don't think there's any other questions, which means you must have covered everything extremely well. Thank you, Aaron.
Beautiful,
really
my
appreciate
pleasure.
your time.
Thanks for having me.
I've got one more little thing to show here. In just a second. Maybe we're having a bit of a challenge with button days today. Here we go. All right. One last thing from us before we end for the day. At Active Management, we do like to challenge everyone after our webinars. So we have what's called a JDI challenge. That's the Just Do It challenge. We can't obviously break the trademark of that little company that uses that phrase, but we call it the Just Do It challenge. So our challenge to you is do something in the next day or within the next 10, 20 or 30 days with the information that you've heard from Aaron today. So listening is one thing, but implementing is something else. It's harder, but it's better for you as well. So our challenge is that once you hang up from this webinar, you take the first 60 seconds after you've hung up, write down what immediately pops into your head in terms of what you can commit to doing with the information Aaron shared with you today in the next 1 day, 10 days, 20 days, and 30 days. That's our challenge to you, and it will make a big difference in terms of what you've learned today. So
great idea.
Again, thanks, Aaron, so much for sharing your time with us on behalf of the PT Council of New Zealand. We really enjoyed it, and I'm sure everybody got something great out of that.
My pleasure.
I will now close down our webinar, and I'll say we'll see you next time. Thanks again for your time today, guys, and remember to do your challenge, and we'll see you next time.